So in general, it's a better Grakata, and it's probably the closest we're ever going to get to Two Grakata. Closest we're ever going to get to Two Grakata.
Closest we're ever going to get to Two Grakata.
How wrong I was. Hello, I'm Blaze, and welcome back to Warframe. You can thank Equinox for me taking so long to get around to this, but of course, I'm going to make a video on this one. Let's become one with Clem and sling around Two Grakata. The Twin Grakatas are literally two Grakatas, and they are actually secondary weapons for some reason. They might have missed an opportunity to make the first dual-wield primary, I feel, but this is the reality we have. And on the bright side, it lets you go fully loaded with Grakatas into a mission if you feel like it. Actually managing to hold two Grakatas requires a little effort though. The blueprint is available from the market for 20,000 credits, and will then require a further 30,000 credits in the foundry, along with two fully built Grakatas and a Forma, with the Forma easily being the most expensive requirement, as the Grakata is reasonably cheap, with the most expensive resource being 2 neurodes each. But if you just can't wait to get all the Daka, you can also pick up the Twin Grakatas from the market pre-built, along with their own weapon slot and a pre-installed catalyst for 225 platinum. The Twin Grakatas are some serious bullet spitters, but they don't function quite like any other automatic secondary in the game, and have their own little oddities. The most notable of these quirks is the fire rate of 20 rounds per second, which is in fact the same as a single Grakata, but this is something we'll get back to shortly. They have a combined magazine capacity of 120 rounds and a very substantial reserve ammo pool of 1,200 rounds, which is an order of magnitude above any other secondary in the game to date. Typically, secondaries only have a reserve ammo pool of 210, less if they're heavy secondaries that use the sniper ammo pool instead. The Twin Grakatas also strangely maintain the single version's accuracy rating of 28.6, another oddity as dual secondaries are typically less accurate than their single counterparts, but not the Twin Grakata. Moving on to the damage stats, they have a base damage of 20, which is slightly less than twice the base damage of the single version. This is split between 8 impact, 6.7 puncture, and 5.6 impact damage. The Twin Grakatas also preserve the primary version's critical stats, with a 25% critical chance and a 2 times critical damage multiplier. However, departing from the standard version, the Twin Grakata's status chance is only 10%. They also come along with the dash polarity by default, so you get a return on investment for that Forma you used, which is nice. A somewhat strange set of stats for those used to the single Grakata. The fire rate is the same, while the base damage is almost doubled. This is because, unlike other automatic secondaries, the Grakatas are fired simultaneously instead of sequentially. Every shot fires both at once, expending 2 rounds from your combined magazine of 120. So those 120 shots are actually 60 shots. As you can expect, this results in burning through a whole lot of ammo very quickly. But the other change, and one I felt was actually slightly disappointing at first, was the status chance. 10%, even considering the enhanced multi-shot available to pistols, really gutted one element of what I loved about the Grakata. And due to how status chance is actually calculated, even if you do throw on a pile of dual status elemental mods, the chance to proc any given status per shot is actually much lower when spread over 5 to 6 bullets instead of just 2 like for rifles. But a little thing niggled at the back of my head, and I decided that instead of just assuming things based on what I think I know, I should go test them. As it turns out, the cut in status chance didn't have nearly as big as an effect as I assumed it would. Many trips to the simulacrum and dead level 95 heavy gunners later, I came to the conclusion that the Twin Grakatas actually remained able to perform roughly on par with its primary counterparts. The tests included my standard 3 status mods plus crit mods for the Grakata and Prisma Grakata, as well as a few different sets of builds for the Twin Grakata to figure out what worked best. This included removing pistol ammo mutation for the initial tests to go all in with status chance. But realistically, that isn't how you're going to be taking the Twin Grakatas into missions, so I later put it back in, giving 2 element mod slots to play with. Focusing on the corrosive element, I tested out 3 combinations of element mods, 2 90% element mods, 1 90% mod and 1 element status mod, and 2 element status mods. And to my surprise, in the average case, the half measure comes out ahead. Going with 1 90% element mod and 1 60/60 element status mod gave the highest rate of either killing the heavy gunner in 1 set of magazines, or putting it down to health low enough that it died very quickly after reloading. Both other combinations underperformed by comparison. Admittedly, these tests do focus on solo play. If you're in a dedicated group running 4 corrosive projection auras, the ability to strip armor away won't matter nearly as much. But the difference will remain pretty substantial, as the raw damage potential of the Twin Grakatas will then allow them to pile on all their damage to the enemy's health. It's also worth noting that a level 95 heavy gunner with no armor reduction other than corrosive status procs is kind of an absolute worst case scenario. Even the Soma Prime struggles here. So the Twin Grakatas being able to just about deal with them at all is a mark of potential. When it comes to modding the Twin Grakatas, use primed pistol ammo mutation. Use primed pistol ammo mutation. Without it, you're going to burn through all of your 1,320 bullets and find it very difficult to recover them again. Seriously, this thing fires 2 bullets at once at a base rate of fire of 20 rounds per second, going up to 32 rounds per second each when you add on Lethal Torrent. I don't care how good you think your trigger discipline is. Use this mod, and get it to as high a rank as you can. This is perhaps the single most ammo inefficient secondary weapon in the game, simply because of its ludicrous fire rate. You can easily end up throwing half your magazine into a dead target if you're not paying attention. And even then, in real world use, they are going to begin burning through all of their ammo at high levels. 35 minutes into a Tower Force survival, I found them running empty even after scrounging all the ammo pickups I could, and even after burning a bunch of ammo restores to keep them going. Or rather, to try to keep them going. Aside from that though, throw on Pistol Gambit to push that 25% critical chance. If you have primed Pistol Gambit, that's going to be an even better option. And as loath as I am to have this mod anywhere near any of my secondaries due to it being so weak, Target Cracker's 60% critical damage increase will be useful as well. Sadly, this does leave the usual crit-focused weapon problem of not having a lot left over to play around with. You'll have 2 slots left over for elemental combos. So, as my previous testing indicates, if you're playing alone and expect to face heavy armor, go with 1 dual stat mod and 1 90% element mod for the best all-round performance. But if you are in a group with 4 corrosive projections or against the squishier Corpus faction, going with 2 90% elemental mods may be a better idea instead. And so, this community meme has been cemented as an actual thing after all this time. It's a bit bittersweet in my opinion. The Twin Grakatas can't quite lay down an unholy torrent of status procs per shot, and they don't have the same quality of critical hits anymore, but they do more damage overall, and will crit far more often with even more bullets. And their incredible rate of fire means that even with this rather weak status chance, they will still actually lay down a decent amount of status procs in a short space of time, even if they need to burn through an entire armory's worth of ammo to do so. When I saw that their status chance was only 10%, I was initially very sad. I was afraid that my Grakata had become something different. And they kind of did, but after doing all that testing, which I'm very glad I decided to do, it turns out they're still the Grakatas I came to enjoy from before. They don't have the same vertical recoil to compensate for anymore, but they instead demand much tighter trigger discipline if you want to have any ammo left after about 30 seconds. And they reward your ability to control your aim with a very tight cone of fire, even though they are actually dual-wield secondaries. They're a damn sight more satisfying to use than the Axomati as a result. And interestingly, they actually have a higher critical chance than the Axomati, while having less critical damage. They remain extremely responsive. They have an extremely nice reload animation where the Tenno spins off the magazines and then brings them back to bear side by side. They still sound like a rusty, unholy chainsaw jackhammer from the 9th circle of hell itself. They can still spit bullets so fast that by all rights they should have multiple rotary barrels to stop them from catching fire. They're still fucking awesome. Certainly worthy of Clem himself. Even if their ammo inefficiency means they really begin to struggle when the enemy armor levels ramp up. But yeah, seriously, use primed pistol ammo mutation. They fire 2 bullets at once. With Lethal Torrent, they'll burn through all of their ammo in about 20 seconds of continuous fire. Ammo restores ain't gonna save you. Thank you for watching my look at the Twin Grakata. All comments are appreciated, and I hope to see you around next time. For something different, you can click down below to watch my look at Equinox, or if you want more Grakata, then you can check out my earlier reviews of the Prisma Grakata and the Standard Grakata. And as always, good luck, have fun, and take care.